It's a good AGam in Kansas morning. Good morning. Let's take a look and see what's coming up today. First, Shawn Thiele, Milling Operations Manager at the Hal Ross Flour Mill, discusses the USDA Cochran Fellowship Program. Next, Rebecca Regan with the Department of Grain Science at K-State shares information about their wheat breeding program. Then enjoy a couple of great stories about the beef industry. One from a producer of high-quality beef and the other from a beef producer and an executive chef who trade places. We'll end with an overview of equine colic surgery. Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
Hi, my name is Shawn Thiele, and I'm excited to be here today at the IGP Institute here at Kansas State University. The IGP Institute is working closely with the USDA. This is a USDA Cochran Fellowship Program. This program works with countries with emerging markets to help train them on the importance of agriculture. We host 2 to 3 week long training courses, hands-on training programs that really showcase and highlight agricultural related fields and how they benefit and are important for the other countries. So this particular course is a group of flour millers from Ethiopia. For the next 2 weeks, we're going to be focusing on the value of U.S. wheat. So U.S. wheat is a very consistent, high quality grain in the U.S. That we're used to. Other countries familiar with this too and love to use wheat from U.S., but with exports the price is typically a little bit higher. We like to bring the individuals and discuss how they get the value for that higher priced U.S. wheat through training them on the consistent quality of U.S. wheat and how they can benefit from that with their finished products on their mills, and as well on U.S. milling practices and how to increase milling efficiencies and showcase a standard of excellence for U.S. mills. The IGP Institute works closely with the USDA and is able to conduct these types of specialized trainings because of the amazing resources we have right here in Manhattan, Kansas. The goal of the IGP Institute is to promote and market U.S. grains, Kansas grains, for export internationally, and because of the unique facilities here in Manhattan, we're able to do that very well. So not only do we have Kansas State University and all of its research going on in agriculture, we've got the Kansas Wheat Innovation Center right next door, where their focus is on developing new varieties of wheat. We've also have the USDA right here in Manhattan, the American Institute of Baking in Manhattan, which provides a lot of great places to visit to show the visitors different things that are taking place in the United States. Manhattan is also centrally located in the heart of a wheat growing country, so a lot of courses we're able to visit farms to showcase farming practices in the U.S. As well as milling locations or grain elevators around the state, or different grain inspection services like the Federal Grain Inspection Service in Kansas City or the Kansas Grain Inspection Service in Topeka, Kansas. Location and the expertise we have here at Kansas State University to educate visitors on flour milling and grain quality, grain markets and trade, and feed manufacturing and grain elevator management are all conveniently located at Manhattan, provide us the opportunity to work with programs like the USDA Cochran training.
Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego is driven by the spirit of American ingenuity. Come in for a new Chevrolet car, truck, or SUV. If we don't have exactly what you want, we'll find it for you. And we also have a great selection of used cars. We make sure you have an easy, fun, and transparent sales experience that saves you time and money. But if you want high-pressure salesmen and hours spent in the finance office, you'll just have to go elsewhere. Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're making car buying great again.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information. This segment brought to you by Kansas Wheat. Learn more at rediscoverwheat.org.
I am a research associate professor in the Department of Grain Science at Kansas State University, and I also am the director of the Wheat Quality Lab. Well, in the wheat breeding program, it's very complex, and the wheat breeders they have many different end users to satisfy. So, of course, producers want high yields, and millers want big fat kernels that have a lot of flour in them, and bakers want high gluten quality. So they want strong, in our field in our area where we are growing hard winter wheats, their main end use is for pan bread. And so for our wheats, high gluten content, nice strong quality gluten, high protein, those are the types of things that the bakers want. For the breeding program, we receive samples of wheat, experimental lines at different stages of development. We measure some wheat characteristics like test weight. We have an instrument called the single kernel characterization system, which we can use to measure kernel diameter, the kernel weight, kernel moisture content, and the hardness. So this is the hardness or the force it would take to crush a kernel. Hard wheats should have a hard kernel texture, so we just want to verify that in the breeding program the varieties that we're working on do have that desired hard kernel texture. We have a small laboratory mill, so we will mill that wheat into flour. The flour then goes through a mixing test. We have a very small mixer, it's called a mixograph. It's based on 10 grams of flour. We use that to mix, so we'll determine the optimum water level that should be added, the mixing time, and by looking at the curve that's generated in that test, we get an idea of some strength properties of the mixed dough. Then using that information, we take that mixing time and mixing water absorption on into bread making. So we actually do bake bread in the lab because we are in an area that is developing bread wheats. So the ultimate test is to actually bake bread and see if the wheat makes a good loaf of bread. So using that mixing test, that tells us how much water and mixing time, and we actually make a pup loaf. So it's based on 100 grams of flour, so it's just they're just really cute little small loaves. But it is a good method and sufficient to tell us if there is a good volume response. And also I cut then the loaves open and look at the inside. So I look at how the air cells or the crumb grain characteristics are, and then I can, by that, it tells me a lot about the strength of the dough and the resulting bread. Finally, we are very fortunate in Kansas that we do have a lot of support. The Wheat Commission is right here in Manhattan. The American Institute of Baking is here in Manhattan. The Federal Hard Winter Wheat Quality Lab is here, so a great resource from different aspects of the industry. And then, of course, the Agronomy Department and the Grain Science Department at K-State. But over the recent years, the technology has advanced, and we are using that technology in the wheat breeding program. And the last maybe 3 years, I have done some collaborations or been involved in collaborations with wheat breeders and plant pathologists and other professors and researchers in agronomy in K-State. We have been working on using genomic selection, and so just understanding the genetics in the wheat plant and how that impacts end-use quality. So we've been utilizing the data that we collect as part of our participation in the program. Others have been measuring the genetics and making correlations so that to try to determine what different genes impact end-use quality. And so with that kind of information, we are able to get more valuable information and quicker, and so to advance our breeding efforts and maintain the success of our program.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org. This segment brought to you by Sure Crop, liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
It was once referred to as a happy accident. Today, it's a logical target for cattle producers.
We used to think 2 to 3% of cattle would grade prime, and maybe we didn't know, we couldn't predict that. It was just kind of a random occurrence. I think what we've learned really in the last 5 or 10 years is, in fact, that we're today up 5 and 6% of all our cattle are grading prime on a national average, but we're finding sets of cattle, herds of cattle, breeders that have, cattlemen that have focused on that target that are able to achieve 30 and 40 and 50% prime. So levels that we really never thought were possible before, with today's genetics certainly are.
Data show most super high grading cattle excel in other production traits too. Long-held myths don't play out in real life.
We know, in fact, today, those are cattle that grow and perform and convert as good or better than your average cattle for sure. They're also they're heavier. So you can have that high level of carcass merit and marbling in particular without sacrificing performance, without sacrificing maternal function, all the things that we know are economically relevant to cattlemen as well.
When cattlemen sell on a grid, prime carcasses routinely earn $10 to even $30 per hundredweight over choice. That can add $100 to $300 per head bonuses for hitting the mark. Increasing supplies of the highest grading beef allow it to move beyond just the traditional users, white tablecloth restaurants, which builds more and more demand at both retail and food service.
You know, I think if we look at from a historical standpoint, we've doubled the amount of prime product that we've put out there over the last handful of years, and in fact, we've seen the spreads and the premiums stay just as big as they have been. I think what we have an opportunity to do is expose at that point a new customer to our prime product.
Farmers and ranchers who want to capitalize on the growing trend need to look first at the beginning.
I think when we talk about prime production, we think about marbling, right? And marbling is largely driven off genetics. We know that. There has to be genetic selection pressure put on marbling to hit these high levels. And so paying really close attention, not just to breed, but also what are the differences within that breed. And looking at the Angus breed, paying attention to that marbling EPD specifically, and selecting those cattle that are on the upper end, the upper percentile. They're also hitting your other economic, that are also Cavanese cattle and with growth and performance, but putting extra selection pressure on marbling.
McCauley also says keeping cattle healthy and on an increasing plane of nutrition helps them express that genetic potential. I'm Bob Cervera.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Clyde Sutton, Ness City, Kansas. Lived on this place all my life. About a year and a half ago, got to where I couldn't saddle a horse. The pain was terrible. Read about stem cell. First it wasn't for me, then they started doing neck and back. Before I went down to Manhattan, the pain I was having from my neck down to my hand was curling my hand back. Some people had thought I almost had a stroke, and my shoulder had drawed up. I couldn't lift, I couldn't sleep, I really couldn't do anything, and was scheduled to be operated on, but was scared of the knife, I guess. Went and had it done. As you can see, I saddled a horse. I'm still building fence. Love to shoot a shotgun rifle, and I'm able to participate, not like I used to, but nevertheless I can do the things I used to do. And I want to personally thank the doctors, nurses, staff at Kansas Regenerative Medicine for the opportunity they give me to have my life back again.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
23 miles are all that stand between the two bookends of the beef story in this case, but ranchers and chefs are on the same team. One's day usually ends when the other's is just getting started, so rarely do they meet. That is, until they trade places.
When you come out and see somebody come in and start the process, something beautiful like this CAB, Certified Angus Beef, and he's come out and see how we finish and how we care the same way he cares is a lot for us.
It was a first for the chef, a chance to stand beside the cattle and see where they come from, this time just down the road.
To come out and find out the care and the details in the beginning, coming to make a little more proud for the things you do. Because you know it's a lot of people being involved. Before even the steaks hit into our place, our store, before even cooking, to know how much all the things have to get through, you know, weather, temperatures, all the different knowledge is very interesting, it's very excited. And I believe after today, I'm come out with a better idea and a little more excited for actually I've been doing for the last few years.
Not to mention the stories he can now tell customers.
We're doing a lot of different details and a lot of different things for our guests and our customers. And all the influence, all the things the information we have today come in and make us feel more proud what we do. And what I see today, that was the whole cycle of putting a really good steak in front of our guests, and that was a great thing to see it.
For his neighboring rancher, it meant an evening under the kitchen lights.
I mean, we put in long hours on the ranch, but these guys put in similar long hours here and take that same commitment to ensuring that it's a great eating experience for the consumer, and they're experts at it.
Catching orders, prepping dishes with a cowboy hat in tow, Ellingson delivered steaks with a smile and a story.
Especially when you're carrying a high-quality CAB steak and putting it in front of them, and you can tell as they're just looking at the steak and then taking the first bite that it's something that, you know, as a cattle rancher we can be proud of, because you can tell they're having a great eating experience.
Passion is one of the many similarities the two share. Long hours and late nights, traditions and legacy, commitment and follow-through. These guys speak the same language. I'm Bob Cervera.
Hello friends, I'm Ernie Rodina.
And I'm Dawn Dawson with the Better Horses Radio Show.
For over 9 years, we've been bringing the Better Horses Radio Show to markets all across the Midwest. We talk about God, lots about horses.
We talk about cows, we talk about horse health, we talk to top trainers, and we even talk about Roy Rogers.
We're having a blast with Better Horses Radio Show and would love to take it to a market near you.
So visit our website at betterhorsesradio.com and let us or your local radio station know you'd like to hear it in your area.
The Better Horses Radio Show is unbelievable.
Tarwater Farm and Home has been family-owned and operated since its beginning in 1978. What you need for farm and agriculture, lawn and garden, clothing and footwear, and so much more. You'll be surprised at what you'll find in this huge store. They have what you need and lots of it. So come take a look. you'll discover that customer service is first and foremost. Always has been with the Tarwaters. Tarwater Farm and Home, 4107 North Topeka Boulevard.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Hello and welcome to Horsing Around. I'm Dr. Chris Blevins at Kansas State University Veterinary Health Center. Today, joined by Dr. Dylan Luter. He is a board-certified surgeon here in large animal at Kansas State and assistant professor, and does a lot of the emergency work here at the vet school. So welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I think that something that's always important to go through that a lot of horse owners, they're very leery about is colic surgery, or if a horse would need to go to colic surgery, some maybe misperceptions of that, or just being comfortable with that situation and potential options for that. So could you go through kind of if an owner or even that referring veterinarian is getting ready to potentially refer maybe to you at night or even during the day, when is the best time to try to figure out when surgery may be a needed option?
Sure, Chris. That's a very common question we get, and a lot of people have a perception that the colic is really bad. It may not be worth going to surgery, and I think the most important thing to keep in mind is the sooner that we can get the horse here, the better. Once it sort of becomes evident that this is not just a routine run-of-the-mill colic that one vet visit isn't going to take care of.
And with that, and as you move forward, what are some different colics that happen? And you don't have to go through the whole gamut, maybe just a few of the more common ones that are on the surgery table that you've been dealing with here at Kansas State.
Sure. Well, certainly the most common one that we see here are large colon impactions or displacements. So basically the feed material in the colon becomes really dry and it just gets stuck in there, or the colon moves to the wrong spot. That's one of the most common that we see here. And then the other aspect would be a large colon or a small colon twist, where something twists and cuts off the blood supply, and then we may need to go in and take that part out. So.
And I think that's something where, too, some owners think, well, if you take out part of the bowel, that horse isn't going to do well. What's the aspect when you have that conversation? Maybe there's devitalized small intestine or large intestine. What is that kind of communication with the owner? Dependent on, I guess. Sure,
it is situation dependent, but a lot of times we look at how sick the horse is before going to surgery and try to get an estimate of what sort of complications might occur, because that can really affect how the horse does after surgery. But if the horse is relatively stable and we're able to take the devitalized piece out, actually around 70 to 75% of horses, depending on the procedure we do, sometimes it's less than that, can actually go back to doing what they're doing and go back to being normal horses. So it is definitely a worthwhile procedure.
I think that's stuff that owners need to remember is just because they're going to go to surgery doesn't mean they're going to have a life-changing situation where they can't go back to. It all depends on the colic, obviously, but success rate can be fairly good, and it's definitely better than just a 50-50 chance.
Oh, definitely. Well, and especially for the displacements and impactions that I mentioned, that can be up greater than 90% chance. So it's worth having that in mind.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Dr. Luter, and giving us the information on colics and colic surgeries. And I guess if people have a horse that's needing colic surgery, you'd be talking to one of the surgeons here at the vet school, maybe even Dr. Luter. But it's one of those things where we're here if you ever need us.
That's right, we're here. Feel free to give us a call.
All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Luter.
Thank you.
I'm Dr. Chris Blevins for Horsing Around, and we'll see you around.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.